Hi, I'm Eric, and today we are at FCPS's central office. We're going to meet someone who diligently ensures that our students and staff are safe. Let's go inside and meet him. We are here today with Scott Blundell, our Director of Safety and Emergency Management. Scott, I know how busy you are because of the work you and I do together regularly.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for allowing us a little bit of your time today.
I appreciate you coming.
So again, you are our Director of Safety and Emergency Management, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that means and what you do to support each and every member of the FCPS community. Before we do that, can you talk to us a little bit about your background? What did you do before you came to FCPS?
So prior to being so lucky to get employed by FCPS, I worked as a deputy sheriff locally here in Frederick County. Spent 23 years patrolling the roads, protecting the citizens of Frederick County.
And so not only did you work for the sheriff's office before coming to FCPS, but you also are an FCPS or a Frederick native. Talk about that a little bit.
So I graduated from Frederick High School, and actually a little background in the family. Both my sister and my father also graduated from Frederick High School, a few years apart, and my sister also works here at FCPS.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So FCPS, Frederick County's in the blood.
It is, very much so. And my mother retired from Frederick County Public Schools also.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what did you enjoy most about working in the sheriff's office? Let's talk about that first before we get into what you do now.
So I joined the sheriff's office, joined law enforcement. I hope that most other people do for the same reasons. I wanted to serve and protect, wanted to help and provide services to the citizens, wanted to help those who were in need of being in danger or just generally needed help from law enforcement. So I spent most of my career in patrol operations, but I spent a good portion of it also in canine. So I had a police trained dog where we were doing scans for narcotics, scans for people, and searching for lost people or searching for criminals, things like that. But I spent a good bit of my time doing that, which also I had some interactions within the school system at that time because we come out and do demonstrations and let the staff members and the students see what the dogs could do.
And I've been in your office before. We're in your office actually right now, and I've seen your canine partner. What was their name?
So I actually had several of them, but the one most memorable to me is Eno.
Eno, wow. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So you spent 23 years ensuring the safety and security of those within our community. What made you decide to come to FCPS after retiring from the sheriff's office?
Before I retired, I spent a few years as a school resource officer and worked in a few of the schools here at FCPS, interacted with a lot of the administrators, a lot of staff members, and I enjoyed it. They were so supportive, so interested in what we did in law enforcement and how we could work together and collaborate on protecting the students and the staff. So that gave me the thought process of moving on once I hit that retirement age. And the position became available here at FCPS. They had started the department. It was the security department at that point in time, and it's grown since then. But so I decided to apply and got very lucky about being selected.
So you mentioned that you also were SRO. So talk a little bit about that. What was that role like during the time that you served as an SRO? And is it completely dissimilar to what our SROs are experiencing today, or is it pretty much the same?
Back when I was an SRO, the sheriff's office here in Frederick County was one of the first, or very much on the ground floor to starting the program. Their program started in 1999, 2000. So we've had SROs here in FCPS facilities or schools since that time. And the sheriff's office program is actually rather large. They have a SRO in every single high school, and actually a couple of them we have more than one. Just based on the community needs and the support and things that are going on, the sheriff's office has been willing to build on that unit. Back then we were kind of responding to calls or needs requests, and I would say now that the SROs are very much proactive. They're very involved with the supervisors or with the administrators, the principals in the buildings to help them provide supports to students, mental health supports, just general community supports and what we can do. And then they have the general response of providing security. So in the event of an emergency, they would be a first responder coming to the building or in the building at the time, be able to provide some type of security support or guidance from a law enforcement standpoint.
Right, yeah. And there are bells and whistles going off in your office because you're getting hit up a lot just to make sure that everything is happening smoothly within the school system. So I appreciate, again, your time today.
Sure.
So you spent that time, 23 years in the sheriff's office, moving into schools as you were still with the sheriff's office, and now you're an FCPS employee. Talk a little bit about what you do as the Director of Safety and Emergency Management now.
We have a number of folks that work in the department. There's myself as a director. We have an admin assistant who helps keep the office operating routinely and efficiently. We have security technicians. We have a video security technician. So as you can see behind us, we have our camera system here. And that gentleman actually spends time with making sure that they're all operating efficiently, all operating so that we can utilize them. He responds to requests for video. He has a number of duties. We have another gentleman who's in charge of access control, and he maintains providing staff with their badges, making sure that they can get into the buildings and operate through or move efficiently through the buildings. So he's in charge of access control. We have a school security and emergency management specialist who works with administrators face-to-face on training and preparing them to be able to respond to emergencies with our protocols. We utilize the I Love You Guys Foundation protocols. And so that's a response to prepare for, respond to, mitigate, and recover from the emergencies that happen in our buildings. And then we have folks who work in the lock shop. So the lock shop works under safety and emergency management because people need to make sure that their facilities are locked and secured or that they can get in and get through the buildings also. And then we have our risk management group who respond to our employees, trying to protect them and assist them in any type of interventions for workplace injuries.
Working firsthand with Scott on many crisis communications, I'm able to see the dedication he has for ensuring Frederick County Public Schools is a safe place. That work occurs not just during the Monday through Friday work hours, but on weekends, in the evenings, anytime he's needed to ensure that we are a safe place for our students and staff. If needed, schools have an emergency radio to reach the Office of Security and Emergency Management. Scott shared how he leans heavily on his team when crisis situations arise. He mentioned how he will often step back and look at a situation from a 100-foot overview to help make reasonable and appropriate decisions. Scott and his team provide training for all FCPS staff about their safety protocols and procedures. What Scott does on a daily basis is essential to Frederick County Public Schools. Talk a little bit about what happens when you get a phone call, you get a message where your services are needed. What may be, give me an example of an incident and what takes place after that incident comes to you.
So I'll use an example of like a power outage that we recently had at one of our schools. While most people might not think that's an emergency, when you have anywhere between 400 and 1,000 students that are coming to the building in the morning, we want to make sure that the building's operational and safe for them to be there. So on one morning, we had a school that the power went out because of a community incident. The building was partially had power and some part of it didn't. And then they wound up having the odor of smoke in the building. And so the principal acted very quickly. He made a determination that it was best to evacuate the building. So he ordered everyone out of the building. He then called into our office to notify us. Every school has an emergency radio that they can contact us directly here. They called into our office using that radio, notified the team. The team went into action. We started pulling up cameras to make sure that we could see what was going on out there. We contacted the other group, yourself being one of them, and brought everybody into my office here so we could create what we call an emergency operations center. We were able to monitor the situation out there. The principal was able to make sure that all his students who were arriving or already on scene were moved to a safe location. He implemented what we call a unified command. We utilized the incident command system. So he initiated incident command, and then when the fire department arrived, he implemented unified command, and they were able to work together very quickly, very efficiently to make sure that the building, was it going to be safe or not going to be safe? Could they move students back in? Were we going to need to reunify students? So they were able to work through a lot of that process there on scene. And the central office team, what we did was we prepared messaging for them. We were trying to think of things such as meals for the students, shelter for the student if the weather turned bad, which fortunately on that day the weather was beautiful. But we're thinking through all those things here at the central office place location. And then when the school requests these items, we can dispatch them or send them to them, and they can utilize them to the best of their ability. Fortunately, on that day, the situation was over with pretty quickly. Students, the power was returned to the building. Students and staff were able to go back in. They were able to continue with the learning that goes on during the day, and we actually sent out messaging to the parents. And from what I'm hearing from the principal, the community was very happy with the response and the way it was handled. I think it went very well, and that's an ideal emergency for FCPS.
Yeah, and working with you in situations like that is great to be able to see how you facilitate those situations. With that one you just mentioned, we're all here in the office talking about it. You're giving me information to allow me to do my job for the communication. You're giving our instructional directors information to allow them to be able to provide the best support. And at the same time, you're providing support to the individuals at the site, along with communicating with your team. So there's a lot of collaboration that takes place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You saying that makes me think about the people hours that go into just addressing a social media post that we may get. And you have several people that are investigating that, reporting back, writing communications, ensuring that the facilities are safe, communicating with school staff. Sometimes they're doing it at the dining room table with their family in the middle of a meal. So there's a lot of work that's happening when those types of things occur, because every threat, every potential threat of harm toward our school has to be addressed and has to be investigated. So you're right, there's a lot of people power that goes behind that, and it's emotional and it's cognitive work that happens as well. And we really appreciate the fact that you are one of the individuals that leads that and navigates that for us when those types of things happen. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate everything you do, man.
You know it.
We are fortunate here in FCPS to have Scott and his team working to ensure that our schools and facilities are safe places for us to enter each and every day. What they do is visible, but a lot of what they do is also invisible, to make sure that our schools, classrooms, and offices are secure, safe places for our students and staff. We appreciate what they do. They're an integral part, an essential part of the FCPS team. Well, everyone, until next time, please continue to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and be well.